We are live. At least that's what it says it is from Ross-Ade. Two of us in Ross-Ade Stadium's press box. Tom Dienhart down in the bow. Are you in the bowels of the Kozic or Mackey Arena?
I'm in the Kozic Football Performance
That's
Complex.
right. That's where postgame is. So
yeah, I'm actually in the football meeting room right now, standing where I'm sure all the coaches speak to. Listen, guys, we got to go out there and fight, win. So I'm right at the podium, you guys.
Oh, so you've got
right now.
Oh, so you have got your Newt Rockney speech all ready for 2 weeks from now. Purdue's going to need that. Yeah, there you go. Well, this is a Saturday simulcast, and we're off to a roaring start, which is great. We are live on YouTube Live, which is a good thing, and that means that we have to behave here. Following Purdue's 49-0 win over Indiana State, I guess we'll determine how impressive it was. It was relatively impressive, at least with the exception of the penalties, maybe. But again, a good opening win. First shutout for the Boilermakers in an opening day since Purdue-Syracuse 2004, I believe it was, at 51-0 game. Union Club Hotel, the sponsor, we appreciate them. Boiler Up Bar, 811 Bistro, Tom Dienhart, and Mike Carmin. Who knows? They may get gift certificates to the new spa so they can have their nails done and a little massage. Be ready to go. Okay, Tom, I'm going to start with you. Just the whole, you got nice fingernails. Boilermakers, it's hard to find fault. I mean, the penalties kind of came in a flurry, and I know you guys may have seemed to me, at least from my perspective, the one roughing the passer seemed to be a little bit nutty. But overall, what your impressions of the Purdue's win?
Yeah, no need to bite your fingernails today, right?
Yeah.
No real nervous moments. And, Ryan Walters said as much in the post game. They expected this outcome. And, I said going in, it wasn't a big revelation. You guys probably said the same thing. Purdue didn't just need to win. I think it needed to send a statement or really dominate an opponent it was supposed to dominate. And it certainly ended up doing that, right? It got off to a little bit of a few fits and starts here in the first half. It was 21-0. Felt like it could have been more. There was a turnover in the second quarter or first quarter by Drew Bibber. But Purdue was moving the ball liberally. They were dominating both sides of the ball, and they got that big separation later. So, again, I think mission accomplished, right?
Yeah.
They dominated these guys. They did what they were supposed to do. They came out of this thing apparently pretty healthy, right?
Yeah, it seems like it.
Now to prepare for Notre Dame. So they have to be very pleased, right?
All right, the three of us, if we had baseball mitts on and baseballs, I know, speaking for myself, could not complete 24 of 25 tosses to each other, I think. So the fact that that's damning Mike Carmin and Tom Dienhart and your ball catching abilities. But my point is 24 of 25, Mike, was impressive, and impressive to me because maybe the attention to detail. You're going to see a drop in there somewhere. There were none of those. Maybe the one, I don't know, Tom, in postgame or Mike, whether it seemed like Jamal Edrin had that ball, could have caught that touchdown pass, maybe have lost it in the sun, so to speak, but really almost a perfect performance by Hudson Card.
Yeah, I mean, in some respects, it was a glorified 7-on-7 drill.
Yes, it was.
That you do in the summer, but you still have to play pitch and catch. And you just like the execution of it, the timing. Hudson got the ball out of his hands quick. He had time. I mean, Indiana State was helpless to defend whatever Purdue was trying to do. Mm-hmm. But this was all about Purdue's offense, getting off to a fast start, building something out of this game that they can take into the rest of the season. I mean, we all know what's ahead from a competition standpoint. We all see the schedule. We know that it's not going to be like this every week, and they're going to have to work a lot harder and be more precise. But it was also a carryover for Hudson from what he did at the end of last year in his 2 starts. I think he's got, 10 touchdowns, no interception in his last 3 starts. You go back to last year. So, maybe, this is a sign that he's ready to take that. And he's got more weapons, this year. And I loved how he used the tight ends, got them in space, got them in the middle of the field. I thought that was big. And I think that could be a big part of what Purdue can do offensively this year. They're going to have success is to utilize those tight ends. It's a talented room. And I think they can make some big plays. And if the outside receivers come on, then you have a chance to have a lethal passing attack there.
Yeah, I think that's the true thing. And Tom, you've written about this and talked about the need. Graham Harrell, Purdue's offensive coordinator, wanting to get Card percentage up from 58 or 59, what it was last year, that mid-60s range. Well, he's off to a good start at 96.
Yeah.
That's going to help that number. It's going to skew it maybe for the rest of the year. But he just looked really comfortable back there, and I understand he wasn't under any pressure. I don't know if that's a kudos to the offensive line or just a team that was completely outmatched in Indiana State, but certainly it's certainly a historic performance, at least in terms of numbers for Hudson Card, Tom.
Yeah, you're right. I saw your tweets, Alan. I saw some other ones. Set an FBS single season record,
right?
Record for
matched it. He tied it. Yeah,
he matched it. He matched.
Okay, well, what was it? 96%, right? And
right.
Just remarkable. And Mike talked about how he finished last year. He sort of picked up where he left off. A good sign for a guy. And Walters talked about this in the post game too. They sort of expected him to make some type of a step up in his second year here. But I guess everything we say right now, late afternoon on this Saturday, August 31st, we have to temper a little bit because of the opponent. But still, they did what they were supposed to do, which was impressive. And guys, Mike talked about the tight ends. Max Clare led him in catches. I think he had a big catch called back to you by a penalty.
Yeah, he did.
Drew Bibber is a nice weapon. We saw a little bit of George Byrne. I wasn't sure if he played all today, but he did. He caught a pass. How about this, guys? 12 different players caught passes today. And, Mike talked about the weapons Hudson Card has, and I think that's an indicator of the type of guys the array of guys that they can throw to. And just remember this, too. C.J. Smith didn't play today.
Right.
Maybe their first or second best receiver, supposedly, the kid from Georgia, the guy who's a true burner. So they'll add him to the mix against Notre Dame. Long story short, as we all thought, I think, when the year started, this offense has a chance to be pretty special. I'd kind of wonder what you guys thought of the defense today. It looked pretty good to me.
Carm, I'll let you start with that. What do you think?
Well, they swallowed up Indiana State, which I don't know if they didn't want to pass or they can't pass. I'm not sure what it was, or they've not covered that part in any of their practices because they had no desire to throw the ball in the air. Maybe they were just looking to get in and get out and take their check and get home. But Purdue's defense imposed its will on them, really never let them gain any traction. They had the quarterback had a 20-yard run at some point. And I thought early on the defense really stymied them on third down, not letting them get going and giving the ball back to the offense, which eventually got going. I loved Will Helt today.
Yeah.
Again, the competition part, but 7 tackles, 6 solos. Was it 3 tackles for loss, a couple sacks? Purdue needs some really solid production off the edge. After losing Nick Scorton, and Will Helt is going to have to fill that void, and he's off to a good start. And he's got Notre Dame in a couple weeks. They've had some questions on their offensive line,
right?
But this should be a good building block performance for him from a confidence standpoint to maybe springboard into the season and get Purdue some more production off the edge. But I thought defensively, they did what they needed to do, and Indiana State never really threatened to score. I do like the fact that Dylan Thieneman still lines up in Benton County to his position. I think I'm impressed by that.
Yeah, he's still, man. I want to know how many miles that dude runs during the course of the game.
They keep track of that. They keep track of it.
Oh, they do. I know they're dated. All right, Caden Jenkins. Tom, if you're going to beat Notre Dame, you're going to need special plays by special players. Over history, that's been that way for Purdue. What do you think of where he was positioned today, and what do you see there from that standpoint? After a quick look at it, you haven't had a lot of chance to evaluate it. I get it, but what do you think? What do you think of him from that standpoint?
Yeah, it's kind of nice being in the middle of the defense, inside linebacker. You can't really run away from him. Yeah, they let him play downhill a lot. And, Mike talked about how much, Dylan Thieneman runs. Well, Jenkins covers a lot of ground too, and he can get to the edge and chase guys down. I saw him do that a few times today. So he's the ultimate warrior, man. I mean, I remember talking to the old staff, Mark Hagan in particular, who coached him, how he marveled at Jenkins, his toughness, how he played through injury. I mean, a true warrior, and a guy that I've had people tell me he's probably the most respected player on the team. You know, he's not a super vocal guy. He's not a me guy. But man, I tell you what, you impress people by your actions and how you carry yourself, not by what you say. And Jenkins is one of those kind of guys, really respected because he plays hard and he's very productive. He's very good. So he's a special guy, and they're going to need him to step up all year long, you know. The defense, like you said, Mike makes good points about number 15, Will Helt. Can he be that special edge rusher this year? We saw C.J. Madden today. We saw Sheeta Soleil. They're going to need to get guys off that edge because, boy, Scorton and Jenkins were two of the best in the Big Ten last year. And, of course, Scorton's in College Station, Texas, and just talked about Jenkins. He's playing inside linebacker.
Yeah, it's going to be important, obviously, against better opponents if you have the ability to do those types of things at that higher level, and we just don't know yet. Again, it's hard to minimize today because it was nearly flawless. Again, with the exception of the penalties and Purdue's 49-0 win. All right, let's take a quick look at Notre Dame, and obviously we'll be talking that till we're blue in the face over the next 2 weeks because Purdue has a bye week next week, as everybody knows. Mike, I will know more about Notre Dame watching them play Texas A&M tonight. They're actually an underdog, even though they're 7th ranked. I think they're 3.5-point dog. You're a Vegas guy. What will the line be, Mike, when Purdue plays Notre Dame? And I understand Notre Dame's got 2 games to play before they come to West Lafayette. But if you were going to hazard a guess, what would you say?
Probably a little bit north of a touchdown. I don't know if it reaches double digits. I'm trying to remember if I saw a summer line for that game, and I can't remember if I did or not. But once you play and once you see things, and a lot of the line will react to what Notre Dame does in its game against A&M, and then its next game, injuries and stuff like that. So I would go north of a touchdown right now, and probably getting up to double digits. But that's, from Purdue's standpoint, they rearranged their schedule. They moved the Indiana State game up a week because they wanted to play on opening weekend, which you completely understand, but that gave them an extra week to prepare for Notre Dame. So Purdue has put itself in this position to maybe surprise the Irish and be ready for the Irish. So now, is this team capable of taking advantage of this situation in 2 weeks and springing an upset and really potentially carving out how this season will play out for Purdue? So that's kind of the thing for me. Purdue wanted to be in this position. They wanted the extra week, and now can they take advantage of it? I thought the offense was kind of vanilla for the most part. I mean, we didn't see a lot of fancy stuff. I'm sure the playbook will open up over the next 2 weeks, and we'll see a lot of different things. And they're going to, they've been preparing for Notre Dame for months, regardless of what they say. They've
no doubt
for months. So I would expect more, not trickery from the offense, but just more sophistication, maybe some different looks. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not completely different, but a lot of things that we didn't see in Saturday's game.
No opponent in Purdue history, Tom, has meant more really to Purdue's ascendancy in football than Notre Dame, and Purdue's ability to beat Notre Dame in certain times and play Notre Dame, what they played every year, from 1947 to 2014, right? So that's a huge thing. But as you look at through the lens of looking at it 2 weeks from now and not having seen Notre Dame suit up this year, what's your early take on that game?
Yeah, it's a team that I think has some questions. I think especially defensively, and they have the new quarterback from Duke, Riley Leonard.
Yeah.
Last year they had the kid from Wake Forest who was pretty good. And here comes Riley Leonard, who can pass the football, and so I think he's a veteran. He's put a lot of ball down in Durham, North Carolina. So he gives them a nice player under center. They're always big and physical too. They want to run the football. And just a great way for Purdue to get to measure itself, right, guys? Notre Dame's coming to West Lafayette for the first time, I think, since 2013. The place is going to be packed. I think it's a 3:30 kickoff. So we'll see. It doesn't seem. I know the ranking is lofty for Notre Dame right now. We'll see how good they are. People will ask me in chats all the time if there's one game maybe Purdue can pull an upset. Could it be Penn State? Could it be Oregon or could it be Notre Dame? I was talking about home upsets. And obviously, Notre Dame's the one team I think we all would agree Purdue probably has a better chance to knock off. Maybe that's Penn State. But again, it could be Notre Dame. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun when the Irish come here, guys. So many great memories, man, for all three of us watching Purdue Notre Dame games. Not to get off on a tangent, Alan, but the guy you were with today in the radio booth, Mark Herman, I got to sit in the north end zone in 1979 and watch him knock off the Irish. So maybe this will be one of those special Saturdays for Purdue fans in a couple of weeks. We'll have to see.
Yeah. Last question, guys. One thing that we've been talking about, which has been interesting, Purdue's biggest home season opening attendance figures dating back to the Akron game in 2005. The fact that they had 59,000 here today was impressive. We all knew that was coming, but they actually, for the most part, showed up on a warm day. It wasn't scorching hot, but it wasn't cool out there. In the student section, we're not a commercial for Purdue, but it certainly was very impressive, at least to me, that the students were there shoulder to shoulder, and most of the other seats were pretty darn full. Mike, I mean, that left me with a very positive impression of where Purdue fans are. And like Tom, like you said, Notre Dame, it's going to be nuts. But Mike, any thoughts on that?
No, it was a good turnout from a fan perspective, good turnout from a student perspective. And, there are probably some Purdue fans who bought season tickets just to be in the building when Notre Dame comes to town. I mean, there's people have different reasons why they buy the tickets and all that, but it'll be packed. Notre Dame fans will get into the place. Purdue fans will be here. And as Tom said, it's a great measuring stick for Purdue. A win doesn't make Purdue's season. A loss doesn't break Purdue's season. But they're in a position now that they came out of Saturday's game, from what we understand or what we saw, with no major injuries. And, if they get some guys back to help them really, increase the talent on the roster to play at Notre Dame, then they certainly have a chance to pull that upset. But this is probably Purdue's best opportunity to pull a bit of a surprise, because when you get to that Penn State game at the end of the year, we have no idea who's going to be on the roster, who's going to be healthy. Right now, we know Purdue is relatively healthy, and they're going to be in a pretty good position to maybe pull an upset. But, can they get it done against an Irish team that, has high hopes to get in that playoff and all that? And you got Marcus Freeman coming back. I know he was just a defensive guy before, but he's coming back to Ross-Ade for the first time. So that's an added storyline to what we're going to see and hear the next couple weeks.
Yeah, Penn State could be very well be playing for its playoff life by the time it comes here on November 16th. That's going to be a deal. Last word, Tommy, on the attendance, but also today's day. Wrap it up for us. What say you in terms of great crowd, certainly, but how does that position Purdue for that game 2 weeks from today?
Yeah, Ryan Walters made sure to give a shout out to that crowd. It really is remarkable. You got a team coming off a 4-8 season. You have a team littered with a lot of new faces. I can't tell how many times people have come up to me and go, I don't know any of these guys on the team.
Yeah.
So there was all those unknowns and people not knowing the players. You got an FCS team, Indiana State, coming in. Doesn't matter. A noon kickoff. Doesn't matter. I mean, that was an impressive crowd today. There's no doubt about it. And like I said from the jump when we first started this stream, was Purdue did what it needed to do. Mission accomplished. Didn't just win, was impressive in doing so. And obviously the big headline's Hudson Card, right? That's going to be the one that screams the loudest on a day when a lot of people could scream loud. And to a lesser degree, I think Mike pointed out maybe the guy who played well that's not going to maybe be acknowledged as much, that being Will Helt.
Yeah.
Tied for the team high with 7 tackles. Mike talked about the 2 sacks, 3 TFLs, and the need to have that big edge rusher. And everybody's pointed to him all winter, so that's going to be the guy. And he certainly had a good first start, didn't he?
Yeah.
So just a lot of but people are got to be pleased on that staff and in that locker room. But they all know, Ryan Walters said this too, guys. The season gets for real was how he put it. For real now. And this is where I say too, the heavy lifting starts. And this is where you're going to earn your money. This is where you're going to earn your reputation. But they at least set the table. And they're going to get Nyland Green back next week, C.J. Smith, maybe a few other guys, Corey Smith, their left tackle. So that they should go into that game in a couple of weeks, maybe fully loaded.
All right, guys. Appreciate your time. A lot more to come on goldenblack.com. Mike will have a little post-game wrap on the message boards. Tom's got a lot more covers. A lot on Sunday also as we evaluate not only this game, but look ahead. Brian Newbert, too, will be writing a column, too, so we appreciate that. Chad Crockover's photos. Who could forget that? They're up there as well. So have a great rest of your Saturday. Thanks for watching and listening, and we will be back in 2 weeks after Purdue Notre Dame, and we'll give you as much enlightenment then as we did today. I think that's pretty clear, but that's a guarantee. Some people said I've guaranteed a Purdue win over Notre Dame. I didn't do that. I would never do something like that.
Let's go to the
but, yeah, okay, all right. I said if we're going to pull one,
then, right?
We'll be like Deion Sanders. We keep receipts.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't hit the recording button, right?
Yeah, that's true. Okay, it's on tape. All right, guys. Have a great one. Thanks again for everybody for watching and listening, and thanks to the Union Club Hotel. Happy Saturday, everybody.